part of that market as quickly as we can and try to operate as an honorable guest.
What's been the most difficult part, that your team faces?
The most difficult part, I think, is maybe in the early stages when there's misunderstandings. And I think as an industry we face misunderstandings about what our industry is. Or like any industry, if you pick any industry beyond direct selling, there's going to be bad people. And they're going to say, well, I'm just like the legitimate financial services company. I'm just like the legitimate auto company. I'm just like the legitimate car company. And a lot of people say, well, we're just like the legitimate direct selling company. And when that happens, it's very difficult and it's very challenging to change that mindset. But we found the way you do it is to just keep doing it right and doing it to the best of our ability. And so we continue on. We don't leave markets. We stay there. We work through it. And I think the other part is banding together like we're doing as an industry to say, look at other people who are in our industry as well, honorable companies who are also being honorable guests and standing behind their product quality and their business opportunity in the same way. But the most difficult part is distinguishing ourselves from those who are, from those bad companies who pretend to be legitimate.
Magnus, what works, what doesn't work?
I tend to agree with Doug in the sense that we try to, from a technical perspective, our business model to be as similar in all countries for two major reasons. The first one is just that we tend to believe in our own business model. And the second one, in order to manage a global company, it becomes very difficult if your company looks very different in many different parts of the world. It becomes difficult to swap managers from one country to another. It becomes more difficult to learn from one country to another if you're operating in a different system. So in general, from a technical perspective, we tend to try to be as similar as possible, of course, respecting local laws and regulation. Where I see differences, or where I see the most need of adaptations, of course, in communication. Most of us, definitely including myself, we tend to tell the stories like we've told many times today about the people that we meet, the testimonials, the person having nothing, meeting one of our companies, and then becoming suddenly being able to buy a house, or buy a car, change their life, and in the end become financially independent. And that story is the most beautiful story, and we all like to tell it, and it's very true in very many countries. However, one of the challenges we face as well, and I think that is something which is an important challenge for our industry, is of course that in many markets around the world, people are starting out not in a bad shape. You take my home country, Sweden, you will not find anyone who lives in a situation where their life is at threat. Their actual starting point is actually very good, and the social welfare systems are very good. So here you have to adapt communication. Why am I in this business? Well, what will this give to me? What is it that what am I looking for? What am I searching for? And I think there we are adapting ourselves, and we need to adapt ourselves because I think Truman is very much onto something. Then we have to really reach for the higher levels of self-satisfaction. And I think that is sometimes a challenge in our industry because the first story is the one that we like the most. But I asked a few weeks ago, we had in our own company, we have what we call prospecting days, when also our employees are out prospecting, finding names of people who want to become consultants. And I was in the middle of Stockholm myself, and it was exceptionally interesting to speak to all those business suites in the middle of our capital. And no one was in need of urgent financial aid, but everyone was looking for a change. And I think that change is what we're looking for, that we need to, either it is yes, to be part of a community, to find a network of associates, or just being part of a beauty story. There are many different reasons why I want to join, but I think that's the challenge, to find that different story that appeals to different people around the world, because people are in different stages. And then we haven't even started talking about the technological developments, of course, but And so, bottom line, technically we are the same everywhere, but from a communication, how to attract people, we have to adapt ourselves to the local environment to make ourselves relevant for potential consultants, but also potential customers of our product.
Truman?
Well, okay, we're in 53 countries, and in virtually every one of those, people have said, for example, if Nu Skin is going to be successful in pick a country, Turkey, you're going to have to change your compensation plan to do this, you're going to have to modify your product line to do this, and et cetera, et cetera. And we've fallen victim to that advice from time to time, and have just found over the years that you can't be 53 different companies. You have to be who you are. And so the pendulum for us has really swung the other way, where we're Nu Skin, and our business model is what it is, and our compensation plan is what it is, and our products are what they are, and we're just going to be the best we can with who we are. And if that means we don't succeed in a particular market, then that's the way it is. But I just don't think you can operate a split personality company.
And you?
Well, Andrea, we are the less international company, so I'm learning from my colleagues and also from you. But even being only 7 countries, maybe we learned 3 basic things. The first one, and agreeing with all of my colleagues here, you need to have a winner value proposition, not only regarding the career, but also the quality and the value of your products. So this must be good and must be implemented in all the countries. The second one that I think is, for us, it was more important, is never forget who you are and how you do things. Because sometimes you need to adapt some things, but be sure that you are the same, even acting sometimes slightly different, but really carrying the DNA of your company, the purpose of your company. This really matters for people. So, and sometimes I think that we forgot, but I think that we were fast enough to recognize and say, look, we are like this, and because who we are, we do things like this. And the last thing, maybe is an obvious one, but probably the most important, people makes all the difference. Leadership, change, and allow you to be international and to be succeeded. People is what really matters. And in our case, we have different moments in our history where the same operation, the same value proposition, we were almost closing, and then we put a great leader and everything changed. So people makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, I just echo everything. I would just say that one of our experiences is, as we develop, again, a worldwide platform, over 100 countries, all continents, a lot of the best practices don't come from the center. Just pick on Turkey here for a minute, and Ron Griffiths, I think our general manager here in Turkey, taught us again before, and we'll talk in a minute about technology, before the company had a robust internet strategy. When you sit there, and we were looking at the internet penetration in Turkey, and let's just say it was 15% of households, so it was lower than some of the other developed markets when we were trying to look at what technologies we needed and where we should go first. And you'll find that your companies will solve it for you. And here we had a country with low internet penetration that had one of the highest, over 90% of our representatives doing their business online, figuring out a way to incent our sellers to go online. And that's something that we had to take and broaden into a global strategy from one of our newer markets. So it doesn't always come from, here's what we're doing, here's what the positioning is, and we're going to push it out. A lot of times it is really learning from outside and bringing it in. Speaking of technology, I think it's fair to say that the world is being transformed by technology, social media, social network. We've talked a lot about the fact that actually direct selling was the original social network, and all of us have been certainly trying to understand the implications on our business models of technology, our investments towards enabling our distributors and our representatives with technology. So maybe just a little learnings, from each of us in terms of what we're seeing and how we're thinking about the future with technology. Magnus?
Well, I think we're just in the beginning. So the problem is that I don't know what I don't know. And what I mean by that is that I think that this is a game changer that we haven't really realized yet. I just read in connection to the internet development, online development, about the car development in the beginning of the 20th century. In the beginning, all cars looked like horse carriages because the perception of traveling was a horse carriage. And then when the car came, or the engine came, you just put an engine onto the horse carriage and you continued running a horse carriage, but instead of the horse you had an engine. Of course, today, an automobile looks very different than a horse carriage. And we don't even reflect on the horse at all when we develop a car today. And I think that's the way we have to look at internet and online as well. I think there's a risk that we tend to see it as a prolongation of the business that we do. And I'm sure it is. We see that already in many aspects. I'm sure most companies now take most of their orders in terms of online. We take payments online, and we start using social media in one way or another. I think this is the beginning of something completely new. And I think it will be very exciting. And I think the most exciting thing is that I think that the direct selling business has the upper hand. Because online, suddenly you can buy everything. Not just the things that the direct seller is offering, or not only the things that is offered in that very particular store you're at the moment of purchase. But suddenly you can buy everything from almost all over the world at the same time. So a great opportunity, of course, and everybody gets excited. But for the customer, the question remains, what to buy? And now we have to ask ourselves, what are the biggest, strongest triggers for buying? Is it that I have a subconscious awareness of a brand through advertising in various forms and shape? Or is it that an even stronger trigger, if someone of my friends or someone that I meet, either in person or virtual, recommends a product to me? I tend to favor the latter, and that makes me exceptionally excited about our business. I think that we have an upper hand. I'm not sure that we understand it, but I'm sure we have I'm sure we have the answer. I don't think we yet know the question, though, and that will be the interesting part of the future.
Alessandro? I know just even in your chairmanship over the next 3 years, we've talked about how innovation and technology should be a bigger platform for World Federation DSA to try and disseminate understanding and thought leadership for the industry.
Yeah, Andrew, I think that we share this enthusiasm about how we use technology and leverage our business. And I agree with Magnus that we don't know what we don't know yet. But we have the possibility to learn a lot. And I think that this question reminds me 10 years ago when internet started to be more relevant, and I remember, maybe some of you also, people asking, is direct selling going to survive? And you showed the numbers. And we are leveraging already our business because of the digital technology. And I think that we face another huge opportunity for the future. And I learned some small things here in these new companies they were born on digital technology. And the first thing that I think that make us happier to looking for the future is that the offline increase when you have online initiatives. So it's not something instead of the other. In other words, when you connect people digitally, you enhance the face-to-face relationship also. And they have a lot of studies showing this, that people is not going to see anymore and to meet in an event or on a face-to-face course. Instead of you, on top of this, you can really strengthening relationship with digital technology. So I think that we can really take advantage